Okay, so far we've talked in detail about personal power, how we give it away, but we haven't really gotten into some of the practical aspects of how we rewrite our narrative, how we change the narrative that we've accepted as true about ourselves. So, in this module, I want to talk a little bit about some of the practical concepts, principles, and a few things that we can do to help us rewrite our personal narrative. So, how do we rewrite? It's not hard to get conceptually, but it is fairly difficult to practice. Okay, that's why I try to talk about practice so often in all that I do in this coaching sphere. The good news about practice is it's very difficult up front, changing a habit, becoming something different, moving pieces around, changing where we're giving our energy and what we're giving our energy to as far as behaviors and actions go can be very difficult at first. Changing a habit, like either getting rid of an old one or implementing a new one, can sometimes take like 90 days or more. So at this point, it's very important for you to ask yourself, what level of commitment are you willing to give right now? And I suggest always starting small. What's something that you know, first off, something that's not necessarily good for you, something that might be sapping your energy, something that you do almost every day that leaves you feeling depleted in some way, and see if you can start to back off of that a little bit, right? Instead of trying to take it out full swing, some people are good at quitting things cold turkey, others are not. My estimate is that most people are in the camp of not being very good at quitting things cold turkey, so you kind of have to wean yourself off of these practices. And at the same time, instead of just getting rid of these bad things, these things that leave you feeling depleted or drained, start to implement something that makes you feel lifted, something that allows you to feel energized, right? And we all know what these things are. Sometimes it's a hobby, sometimes, it could be you're a gamer, you want to get some gaming in during the day, and that makes you feel charged. On the flip side of that coin, sometimes when you're somebody like me who's a gamer, you lose track of time. You get caught up in that world, and you sit there and you go, "Oh man, I don't know if that's really what I needed to do today." So it's important to evaluate what sort of practice you want to implement. For me, meditation has been the key cornerstone of my total practice in general. It's the thing that provides me the space and the energy to go on creating and doing the things that I do in my regular life, to act with presence, to act with my own personal power. So whatever that thing is for you, could be exercise, something to start shifting the energy back into something that feels like it charges you up. So there's many ways for us to practice our sacred power, our personal power, and it's almost as diverse as there are individuals. So it is really a practice of self-study that can help you to develop this rewrite of your narrative. The good thing is you get to pick it. Okay? So I like to talk about the power of the present as one of the key ways that we can do this. See, before we can identify and start to eliminate or dissolve some of these beliefs that are holding us back, we need to find the space to retreat to when we need to heal, when we need to rest, or when we need to regain some energy. Luckily, we always have this available to us. It's inborn. It's one of the bloatware that we have within our programming. It's something that came preloaded with us. It's not something that we have to stress to develop or to build. All we have to do is give it the space by just breathing, right? The first step of any meditation practice of regaining this space is just breathing. It's just taking the time to stop and just inhale. So let's do that right now, real quick with me. Even with one breath, we can start to feel the difference. The inhalation itself is creating space. It's opening things up for us and allowing us to feel the full power of our being. It's an ancient practice, and it is one of the most powerful. It is almost limitless power, what you can develop with meditation practice in general. The next piece I want to share with you is identifying your first limiting belief. And for most of us, it is the belief that I am the victim, or I'm a victim of my circumstance or of the external world around me. Now, it is a very difficult thing to get over, and most people do struggle deeply with this particular limiting belief, because we have suffered trauma, we have suffered hurt, we have suffered pain. But we cannot expect to be the hero of our story if we refuse to take accountability or responsibility for what it is that we're doing, right? I think it's very important that each and every one of us understands that we have the power to be the hero, to rewrite the story. In fact, in the hero's journey, the hero is the one who rewrites the tale. Sure, there are other characters. You got your supporting cast, your sidekicks, your mentors, everyone that's going to help you along on that journey, your coach, right? But at the same time, the hero is the one who drives the narrative forward. Now, we don't often watch the hero's journey happen where the hero sits there and whines the entire time about how unfair things have been for the hero. It's not to discount at all the fact that many of us have had a rough shake. In fact, some of us more than others. But even that, in that comparison alone, my pain is more valid, my pain is deeper, my pain was more traumatic. That comparison alone drives us deeper and deeper into the victim archetype. And if we want to become the hero archetype, we have to start shedding this belief that I am a victim, or that the universe has been personally taking a vendetta against us. We are the creators of our own life, and thus we're in control, and we have to be responsible, accountable, and willing to accept ourselves as we are. Self-acceptance is critical here. Yes, we've all experienced trauma. Yes, it's still there, and many of us still need to heal a great deal of that trauma. But we have to accept ourselves where we're standing right now. The hero's journey always begins with the hero not knowing exactly where his power is, or how he's going to even acquire it, how he's going to acquire the elixir of truth or of life or of power by the end of it. But by acknowledging where we are right here, right now, being present in it, we take that next step. Again, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Get comfortable with discomfort. To access our true personal power, we have to be willing to understand that there's going to be growing pains. The pain is going to happen, but how we relate to, how we respond to that pain, and how we shift and try to heal whatever pain comes up is what defines a hero versus a victim. Now, somebody standing in their power is going to recognize that pain as an opportunity, a portal, a way for us to move forward, right? Through each one of those painful experiences, there's a learning, there's growth, right? Just like the growing pains we had as a child. Pain is an indicator, first off, that there's something amiss, and we tend to avoid it in great detail. And we go to massive lengths to avoid pain and try to prop ourselves up with so much comfort and pleasure that we become stagnant. It's very important to be comfortable with pain. The whole adage, in the gym, no pain, no gain, is somewhat true. Through pain, we grow more capable, we grow more durable, more resilient, so that we can take the punches and roll with them and not take them so personally. And that gives us the power to start to shift, right? We don't get stuck in these grooves, in these patterns that hold us back. The next limiting belief is that no one has power over you unless you've given them that power. You see these funny images here. We've got the wolf dominating the other one. We've got an image here of this man giving away his power to this woman, right? And any of these can be true, vice versa, right? We give our power away in many different ways to many different people, but our power can be called back in an instant, regardless of when or how we gave it away. We're not subject to the influence or the demands or the domination or dominion of others in the world at large, even society. The truth that we need to understand, and this truth helps us limit or get rid of this limiting belief, is that we only feel this way when we're willing to give away power, and that comes from not wanting to take accountability for that power. See, it's easier for somebody else to be responsible for that, and then we don't have to say, oh, that was on us, right? We have the ability to give that responsibility to someone else and say it's their fault, and it's not my fault. And that makes it more comfortable, and we're going back to security here versus freedom. If we wanted freedom in that moment, we would say, no, that's not theirs, that's mine, and I'm taking it back. I'm calling that power back in, and now I can use that power to shift, to create, to make something new. But in times where we need security, and this is not bad, I mean, it happens all the time, we give this away. It's about coming to a point of awareness, right? Where we know where we've given away our power. Are we comfortable with the power we've given to somebody? You know, any relationship, we're giving over some amount of power, right? Whether you're in a relationship where you're married, whether you're dating, in a friendship, in some ways, you have to be vulnerable with that person. And in doing that and being vulnerable, you're giving them a piece of you, a part of you. And that can be fulfilling, it can be wonderful, it can lift your soul, it can make you feel full of passion and fire. But sometimes it can feel draining, it can feel toxic, it can feel oppressive. And having that awareness of where that is coming from is what helps us to understand how to call that back, or where to limit, or where to set boundaries. But even deeper and even more powerful than this is the fact that we need to embrace the pieces that we've shunned, the parts that we've shoved into the closet, into the dark. And this, often comes up in the self-help community, in the healing community, is healing the shadow, right? And the shadow is widely talked about. It's those pieces of us that have experienced trauma and we've decided we don't want them to be a part of our identity anymore, right? It's something that we were, an example is a piece where we were shamed about something that we did and somebody said, no, that's bad. And we took that at a very young age and we said, oh, well, this is not accepted in the world. This piece of me that I was trying to show, this light, was not accepted, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take that and I'm going to hide it because that was a painful experience. Healing the shadow is a very, very long, difficult process. We bring up more pain from the past, and then we have to experience that pain again. And if we're not prepared, it can drive that shadow deeper and deeper into the darkness. But if we approach it with an embrace, with compassion, as though we're looking at that young child who we were, that child who was full of light and ideas and beauty in the world, and we embrace them in our adult form, and we say, you know what, it's going to be okay. We're going to give this light back to you. We're going to shine this light on the world. There's a massive amount of power and an energetic influx that can happen from those events, and you stand with that piece right next to you, that little you that said, I'm scared. Now you've got that light back, and that is an incredibly powerful way to start taking back some of your personal power. Now, one of the ways I love doing this is to sit in meditation, or to take a journey through a guided meditation into your heart center, to visualize some of those pieces, to bring them up. It's not until we develop the ability to sit without judgment with our emotions that we can start to heal these things. There are many ways you can go to a healer. You can go to a Reiki healer like myself, or others, energy healers, psychiatrists, psychologists. There are a number of modalities that you can begin to heal the shadow with, and I recommend you try out as many as possible, because you never know which one is exactly right for you. Some people like to release them without the story. Some people are really into the story. My personal belief is that the story most often gets in the way, and we create labels for those traumas and we hold on to them as an attachment, and that becomes a drain to our personal power. Meditation is incredibly powerful because we get to use this space that we're creating through breathing, through presence, to sit with our emotions as they come up, or to bring up old ones, right? You can say in meditation, okay, I'm creating this space, I'm sitting here in silence, and I'm allowing these things to come up and be present with me. I'm present with them. No judgment, no attachment to them. And oftentimes what you will see is an emotional release will happen. It will physically release from the body. Sometimes you'll have, you'll cry. Sometimes you'll laugh. Sometimes you'll have an outburst of rage where you're just like, ah, and you let it go. And that's okay. We don't have to be so afraid of our emotions. They're great wells of power for us to utilize. So that's just one of many ways here, healing the shadow, and I'd love to talk to you more about that in detail sometime.